You are now listening to the new Old Heads podcast, premiered every Thursday at noon Eastern Standard Time at BringDownTheBand.com, and brought to you by No Bad Ideas, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, and Sun King Brewery. Support the new Old Heads by visiting our Patreon at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the new Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The entire crew is here, starting off with my man Kansas City Mac, a.k.a. the voice of Indianapolis. Jay Moore, how are you, sir?
Doing well and highly vaccinated in these streets. So, man, I'm
out there then.
No side effects, nothing like that. My mutant powers haven't kicked in or anything, so I'm kind of disappointed in that. But you know, I guess you know, if just feeling healthy is a mutant power, I'll take it.
There we go.
Right.
Hey, I'm with it. I'm with you when you're right. All right, my man DJ Jay Diff is in the building. What's happening, man?
Expectations was good.
Oh man, I can't call it. Everything good your way?
Things good, man. I'm just get rich off this crypto.
Oh, you out here balling?
Somebody show me the way. That's all I'm saying. Show me the way.
Okay, be careful though, because
crypto cash.
Oh yeah, like if you into the Bitcoin, it's up big today.
Yeah, but be careful though, because you're gonna have a crypto currency expert on your timeline and a forex expert on your timeline and don't know what the hell they talking about. So just be cool. Information that you get, because there's a lot of people out there that are completely lost. My man Longevity live from Bringing Down the Band headquarters. How are you, sir?
I am doing quite swell today. Thank you very much, Michael.
Have you learned anything new technology wise, man, recently? Anything?
Nope.
No, or is everything working well over there?
No, everything's working great. I can hear myself in the headphones and everything. Terry, I think your thing might be the gate. I think it's the gate feature is probably what's going on with your mic, but anyways, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, you know, I can hear myself in the headphones, you know, so
cool. I mean, it helps to read up on stuff, man. Sometimes you find out stuff that way. I'm glad you're able to do that though. The monitor button's dope. It really helps out, man. I'm glad you got it.
YouTube University. Yep.
Yes, sir. All right, man. Shout out to the chat. Mighty TR is in here. Let's see. John Rock is in the building. David, I see you. Let's see who else is in. I know D Frog floating around here somewhere. No, he be on it. So we appreciate y'all if you're in the chat. Drop a hand in there. Let us know that you guys are rocking with us. If you get a chance, Loners also spam the chat for our new YouTube page. We've moved all of the content there. So creative to creative. 7th quarter, all of our new Old Heads Network content will be released on this page. It's not new. It's just new thing the new place we're going to be dropping everything. So still associated with Bringing Down the Band, all that's still the same. If you get a chance, click that link in the chat and subscribe, because we're trying to the point where we can expand and get busy. So we really appreciate the support, and you know, all of y'all that continue to rock with us on Twitch, we really appreciate it. And you know, we know it's tough, and you know, especially with the pandemic and everything, but you guys continue to find time to rock with us, so we really appreciate that. All right, man. So let's go ahead and jump into the rundown here. Let me make sure I got myself in order. As I always say, make sure we got it right. All right. So shout out to 𝗀𝗡. I don't know if you guys saw this. I saw it. I chuckled a little bit, but it looks like Twitter took care of everything else for me. I didn't have to really say much. I just read the comments. But there's like an 8x10 glossy picture that Diddy released on his Twitter page. And it was in relation, he was responding to, accused General Motors in particular of making money from the Black community. And the picture says, "We're done letting corporations manipulate our culture into believing incremental progress is an acceptable action. If you love us, pay us. And here's a letter to corporate America." So Diddy, once this popped up, he started to get roasted. People that are probably our age, if not older, and understand some of the things that we've heard about his quote unquote business practices. I'll read a couple of these comments from people that were on here. There's a young lady named Jessica Fry, and her response was, "Diddy, it starts with us. I was recently approached to host a show for Revolt, and it came without pay. You cannot keep knocking white folks for their disrespect towards minority creators while doing the same thing to each other. I encourage you to be the change that we need." There's another comment that says, someone named @NoName on Twitter. Diddy about Diddy about 150 million away from being a billionaire. Diddy is shaming white corporations for a capitalist business model he almost completely replicated. Abolish the black capitalist industrial complex with the prayer hands. So people have been pretty much dragging him.
Did you say somebody by the name of
on Twitter
no
for
name?
his comment?
He did.
It says @NoName.
Doesn't know who No Name.
That's who. I don't know who No Name is. They go by No Name.
This dude, man.
So
you're on the hip hop
@NoName
podcast and you don't know who No Name is.
I'm just playing, man. Y'all don't get. Come on, man.
You're not playing. Not playing. You can own up to it.
I don't really. Okay. I'll be missing the bars, man.
Maybe it was a Freudian.
Anyway,
Freudian slip or something.
It wasn't
right?
Freudian. Y'all missed the bars. Anyway.
You trying to?
What do y'all think about this, man? Don't do that. Don't do that. What do y'all think about that, man? In terms of, because we know the history. Like, you can talk about what's the group? Jay Moore, no. What's the name of the group that they say he really played? The one came out for a little bit and they disappeared. I'm talking about B5. You remember that?
Pick one. Pick one.
Oh, yeah.
What'd you say, Terry?
Well, I mean, B5. I mean, you got to look. I mean, you could go down the list. I'm not here to defend Puff Daddy, Diddy, Brother Love, but it's like everyone expects. A lot of times they expect black executives to like, just if you sign with a black record label, that he's going to give you $1 per record sold, non-recoupable. Like, that's going to be a sustainable business model for him, who's taking all the risk as the business owner. And perhaps if we were getting the lion's share of the or just the proportional to the amount of money we spend with these corporations, if they were spending it on advertisement with black outlets, then Diddy would be able to pay people who come into, he'd be able to be, as far as the hosting situation is concerned. I understand why creators and people who are asked to be on his airwaves would feel some kind of way about, like, oh yeah, just come on and we're not going to be able to pay you, because that's not how other outlets take care of business. But other outlets are getting proportionately what they're supposed to get from Fortune 500 companies as far as advertising, and that's really where the disconnect is. Like, I'm not saying either is right, but I am saying there is and you can say, oh, well, Diddy's almost a billionaire. The reason he's a billionaire is because, like, he's not out here just paying people when there's nothing on the back end for him to recoup. Like, I'm not mad at that part of it as far as Diddy is concerned. Everybody wants to say that, it's easy to point at the guy who almost has $1 billion and say, hey, why don't you do this? But then there are companies that have billions of dollars and they do not break bread with black outlets. Like, they'll spend all this money, say at an iHeart or an Emmis, and sure, they'll spend the money when it comes to spending it, put it on the Breakfast Club or whatever, or Hot 97 or whatever, particular outlet that caters towards black people. But at the same time, when it's time to break bread with Radio 1, which is run by a black woman, and it has then for some reason, all of a sudden the money is dried up, and it's not, there's not that same investment. So it's multi-layered. I know everyone thinks they get on Twitter and they're owning somebody by saying something that they think is woke or whatever. And look, there's a lot of layers to it. And I know Diddy is an easy target because they'd be like, well, why are your artists broke? It's like, look, at the end of the, because somebody tried to be like, well, why, what's wrong? Why you ain't taking care of Black Rob? Black Rob is a grown man at the end of the day. It's not for Diddy to take care of grown men and grown women who have made
album, by the way,
poor decisions somewhere along the line. Of course, this is when you're talking about record companies, you're talking about capitalism. Everything is transactional. When you are no longer doing anything for me, a lot of times you're not going to have anything done for you. So I just think it's I mean, it's multi-layered. It's not as easy as somebody can make in what I don't know if it's 140 characters. I don't know how many Twitter characters are on Twitter anymore. I know they changed.
Twitter game ain't high as it used to be, so don't get me lying about the characters.
While I understand where Diddy is coming from, he's running a business at Revolt, and if he looks at the balance sheet and it says, "Look, I can put you on the air, but because I'm not getting the money from these advertisements, I can only pay you this much." So if you really are about this fight and that black people are buying this many Escalades a year, then General Motors needs to come off that money and make sure that like those Escalade commercials wind up on Revolt. And then I can start paying these creators the way they need to be paid, because the influence of our market value and what we spend is being reflected in what the advertising is.
Diff, jump in there, man. What do you think about people roasting him based off that comment in the 8x10 glossy?
I mean, Diddy he's an easy target when it comes to this type of shit. I even talked about it when during the election. He finds something to latch on to, but the whole thing with me is consistency. Remain consistent. I'm saying get with something and follow through versus just making a statement or a blanket statement and not helping assist the actual action of it. You know what I'm saying? That's where I am with Diddy, because I mean as a businessman, he's a great businessman, but his reputation is tarnished based on people that he's done business with, those being the artists that he has. I mean, because you don't have any artists that Diddy came up with that are still riding with him or still under the Bad Boy imprint. Like, is Bad Boy even still active? I haven't heard of an artist on Bad Boy in so long that it's hard to even know if it's still an active label,
Yeah.
And unfortunately, every artist that was on his label has either passed away or have gone through very bad consequences in life, ended up turning to God. I mean, that's not a bad thing, but I mean, at the end of the day, you see something that makes you, make a complete 180.
She was alone there for a second.
There's probably something there. I don't know, man. I think what Diddy needs to do, especially being so close to being a billionaire, rather than vocalizing everything, he needs to be trying to figure out how to sit on these boards, because I mean, that's what the rich people do. When you have paper like that, you're able to sit on many boards if you really want to make something happen, so to speak. So I'm with more of the action versus the hopping on Twitter, trying to get people riled up, because it doesn't help you in the long run. A lot of people on Twitter will never touch the type of paper that you have. They can't relate to you, but they try to tell you what you should and shouldn't do with your money. Same thing with like this whole DMX, rest in peace to him, by the way, talking about Jay-Z is buying his masters. Like, I mean, that wasn't even an actual factual, but you see how people jumped on that immediately.
Yeah.
Well, he can't buy his masters. Kanye got more money than him. But y'all are arguing over people's money who you don't even have. You can't even touch. You don't know what these people got.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And so that's what I'm saying. Twitter and social media isn't necessarily the place to air it out unless you've already made an initiative to try to do something. It didn't go through, or they're pretty much pushing you to the side. Then yeah, I think air them out at that time. Yeah. But other than that, I think you should probably pump your brakes. So I know a lot of people that work at GM or worked and retired from GM that are black and hold good positions there. So I don't know what's going on the other side of the game that he's talking about. But from my point of view, I see a little bit different. So I want to get some clarity on that.
I'm not mad at that. Lone, do you have any thoughts on the glossy?
I don't know what the glossy is because I wasn't paying attention, but I will say that I get the point. Like, I get your guys' point with everything, and I think this is like twofold. And Jay Moore briefly mentioned it when he talked about capitalism, right? Because and I think No Name, her comment based upon on this was in reference to Diddy shaming white capitalists for essentially doing the same thing, right? It's like trying to play that
abolish
game.
Abolish the black capitalist industrial complex is what she said.
Right. Which,
repeating
it. Yeah, I mean, of course, if we're thinking, we've talked about this a little bit with Jay-Z in the past too, right? He's playing the game of the wealthy white, like when we talk about wealth, right? We're talking about generational wealth. So he's dipping into that game. Diddy's in that as well, obviously. Kanye had his complaints throughout the years as well, like put me on the board, Adidas, like all that stuff. I actually agree with No Name on this in the sense that the mind frame around it is, I guess it just depends on where we're coming from, right? So if I can understand like where Diddy is coming from on one hand, from having a small seat at the table in that sense, right? But at the same time, he is playing this other game, and he's nearly a billionaire, and he's playing the game of capitalism. And regardless of if it's a black person or a white person, I don't really think there should be billionaires. So
I've heard you say that before. Yep, I have.
And I don't know. So it's like this weird, I'm kind of torn a little bit because I see what she's saying and I see what he's saying. I think they're both right. But it's just kind of weird to like try to advocate to get people on your side like Diddy's doing. Like, I don't know, like help me become a billionaire too is like kind of what he's saying. It seems like, I don't know. And, at the same time, like a lot of his artists, like he doesn't have the greatest track record for like, does he have the greatest track record for supporting the artists that he's brought up and that he's been quote unquote, I don't want to say responsible for, because I don't think anybody's responsible for anybody in the music industry, right? But
nobody's still riding with him.
Man, that's tough.
Who is?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. So, I mean, he hasn't really looked out for his artists like that. I mean, the Lox had decades of issues with him, right? Over his name. And obviously that there's legal stuff around that.
Let's go pull up the interview with Angie Martinez when Ada and Styles was in the studio. That's all the reference you need.
Yeah. So I know I'm rambling. I'm rambling right now, so I'm going to stop. But I don't know. I'm split because I agree with what No Name is saying. Like if from where I come from and where I stand on stuff like that. But I understand Diddy's frustration as well with, feeling like he's in the game, but he's not, doesn't have a larger share of it, I guess. I don't know. It's kind of.
Well, because everyone wants to always say, well, Diddy didn't do, right by his artists, this, that, and the third. But, when you really look at the track record, when artists decided, okay, I don't want to be on Bad Boy anymore, and then they go to some other company, they usually never do better, because when you're on Bad Boy, and they're focused on you. And then when you get to, Capitol, you realize, oh, now I'm being handled by the black music division of Capitol, or I'm handled by the black.
Lox did better once they moved on.
Did they?
Yeah.
So when they got with Rough Riders, I think they did better than they did. They was riding the wave of Biggie still.
No, because the thing is, when they got over there, like, okay, Biggie's gone, so okay, and DMX and Eve are hot. Let's get away from Bad Boy because that's not hot anymore. And then they got over to We Are the Streets, and the numbers weren't really any better than the Lox album that was on Bad Boy.
It was a better album.
It was a better album, but this is the thing: when you decide to negotiate your way out of a contract that you signed, and this is the thing. This is a lesson for every artist who may be listening or somebody who's thinking about getting into the music industry. If you sign a record label, and you decide you don't want to be there anymore, and you have a lawyer negotiate your way out, you don't get to just leave clean. Okay, there's something that you have to leave.
Dr. Dre will tell you that.
Exactly. Exactly. So,
but it doesn't make it less predatory.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make it less predatory. But at the same time, like, I don't want to say I don't feel sorry for artists who sign bad deals, but like, how many times do we have to hear the story of New Edition? How many times we have to hear the story of NWA? How many times we have to hear the story of the Backstreet Boys? And then does nobody ever learn the lesson of having somebody look over the paperwork?
Because it's basically the allure of the game. I mean, if you're already broke, you have this opportunity, or not even necessarily broke. You getting street money. You trying to clean your shit up. Getting that deal in itself is hitting the lottery for you. So you gonna glance over some shit and just be like, all right, let's get this shit signed. I understand how that happens. Now, people aren't the greatest businessmen or business women when it comes to that type shit, unfortunately. But I mean, it happens. It doesn't happen as much now because people are educated on what's going on. Because I'll tell you firsthand, I thought once you got a record deal when I was young, once you got a record deal, you was rich. That's just what I thought.
Yeah,
right.
In the beginning, and know anything about well, you got to pay for this, you got to pay for that, and I'm sure they're in the same boat. I can only imagine if one of us got a record deal, either in high school or fresh out of high school, that we're thinking about trying to find an attorney to make sure this shit is right.
You got to think about also there are examples of to your point, we've all seen the story. Jay Moore listed a whole bunch of stories that we've heard about, horror stories. I think as he was talking, Terry also said TLC, if I'm not mistaken, as well. So we've seen a lot of those stories. There are, for all of those stories, you do get a Master P, you do get an E40 that kind of gave us an example of, okay, come out the gate independent and take care of your own business and really grind. There is a chance for you to be successful also. Those were few and far in between because clearly we got a longer list.
Those are cats that had bread. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely had bread.
So when you're in a situation to where you have money already, you're thinking on a different level. Same thing with like a Jay-Z. He didn't come in the game with, I just want to make a rap album. He came with, I want to make a company. I want to make a rap label. That's the way they structured their deal. It wasn't just, I'm signing myself or y'all are signing me. No, you're signing me and my company, and this is how we gonna do this shit. There's a difference there. You know what I'm saying?
I feel you, but could I play devil's advocate and say, okay, when you sign the deal, there's not necessarily a rule that says, you have to spend all the money that you get for this. Like there are some people that signed record deals, but we're smart enough to be like, yo, I'm about to go out here and do a lot of this stuff on my own with the promotion and stuff, and do extra things outside of what my contract says to help me gain more money, outside of what the structure of the contract is. Like,
because they had the knowledge. Because they had the knowledge of understanding what everything was, right? So they were aware of how predatory everything really was. Just from somebody
I feel what Terry's saying though. I feel what he's saying.
I mean, from my standpoint, and the reason why I have a hard time agreeing with Diddy on this and in general is just like, I mean, I'm not like $150 million away from $1 billion or anything, but I've started stuff from the ground up and I've built things and I run a record label and it's independent and I've booked shows and I've paid everybody at every show I've ever had. And the artists on the label that put music out get over 80% splits on everything, if not higher. So it's hard for me to, as somebody that doesn't make a lot of money from it, but still enjoys it, like to just agree with any of it. It's just again, it goes against my, maybe it's because I have morals and shit. I don't know. I don't,
shit, man.
Ding, 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 ding. Morals and shit. Yes.
Put that
we also know. Shirt. We also know that when you start messing with, I mean, and like I said, there's only like at this point, 5 or 6 actual record companies in the entire world. I mean, you can have an imprint, you can have a boutique label, but there's really only 4 or 5. Yeah,
3 big
that
ones
actually distribute your records to major outlets. There's only like 5 or 6 companies that own every media outlet in the entire world. So when you have a clear understanding and this is for any artist that's listening. Say you do sign to Warner, and okay, they take you out to dinner and they put you up in a hotel. All this stuff is on your tab. These are called recoupable expenses. And you're not just out here living the life. When they give you money, they expect all of it back and then some. And so, you know, what you negotiate as a royalty, how much you're supposed to get per record, you might get the short end of the stick on the first record, but it's your team and your lawyer and your manager. It's up to them to go in there and renegotiate based on what you've been able to bring to the table going forward. You know, just like, you know, if you're a professional athlete and you outperform your contract, like I'm never mad at when these dudes go back and try to hold out and they try to get more money per year, because you know what? If you didn't perform to your contract, they would cut you at any given time. And it's the same thing with a record label, because they will, if you are slated to sell 500,000, which honestly is not even a realistic thing anymore, and you sell only 250, they can be like, all right, we're going to cut our losses. You're just a tax write-off for us, and you can get out of here, and you're not going to get any more chance to get in the studio, and whatever money that you owe us, you still owe us. You know, that's the. Look, I'm not saying I don't understand when people are upset at Diddy, but at the same time, when you look at the paperwork and you see what it is, you can only be so mad. These people sign these paperwork, and you got to understand, you spend $500,000 on a video. All right, you have a P&D deal. Every jewel case, every piece of vinyl that's sent out, it's not Diddy's. He's not going to pay for that. That's a part of your contract. You know, and like I said, I'm going back to the 90s when I talk about, you know, the vinyl.
You're going way back.
And I was a part of,
I was about to say,
I was a part of a record pool, and I just remember, okay, we would get, you know, 60 pieces of vinyl for, you know, because you had to have doubles. You know, you got to understand, if you're an artist and your company is sending out 60 pieces of vinyl, you pay for the pressing and distribution of all 60 pieces. Now multiply that by a record pool in every major city in America, and then also all the records that are in the store. Like, I understand people think they should be rich just because they're on TV, but it doesn't work that way.
The goal of a record label is to make
the game.
A record company is nothing more than a bank. And
the goal is to make money.
You got to look at it like this. They gave you a loan, and you got to pay back that loan.
The goal is to make bread.
The problem with Diddy, though, even with contracts, he does not have any artists still that is riding with him at the end of the day. So I mean, he broke all of these great artists. I mean, he of course, God rest his soul. Craig Mack, God rest his soul. Loon. What's his name? Black Rob, Little, name Thomas,
Carl Thomas,
all these people, the band, Identity Kane, everybody from the
naming them in the chat.
They all made great. They all came out swinging. They all made great albums. And their first albums was good. I'm saying, but then after that, there was really nothing else. Everything fizzled. It was based on pretty much bad contracts or not fulfilling certain things. So, I mean, I don't know. It's just his track record. When you're talking about Diddy and wanting another company to provide opportunities, minorities or black people, you had the opportunity to do that yourself, and somehow it fell through the cracks, and it didn't necessarily manifest like it should have, or it hasn't been correct. Hell, I forgot to say Mace. You know what I'm saying? But Mace he backed out on his own terms. But I mean, still the story is the same.
And I see
everybody that he worked with, they don't have any equity in Bad Boy right now anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you got to look at it like, even when you talk about Mace, you know, after his first album, he blew up, you know, did huge numbers. You know, Diddy gave him a $12 million advance, and then he decided to go preach the word. You understand? You know, Diddy lost $12 million on Mace.
That's why Mace that was on him. Mace,
you know, and then you talk about 112. 112, you know, they recouped on their album. Like they eventually recouped on their albums, and you know, they didn't go back and renegotiate. And then they said, okay, we want to be on Def Jam. They went on Def Jam, and then they went from being platinum artists to being gold artists, and it didn't go any better. Faith Evans, same thing. She was a platinum artist on Bad Boy. Right. She went over to Capitol, and she wound up being the black. They put her in the black music division, and she was never.
But then you have New Edition. Edition signed a deal with Bad Boy, had one album. LNG signed a deal with Bad Boy, had one album.
Yeah.
But also, this is the part of the story they never tell. Bad Boy bought New Edition out of all the record company debt they had with MCA. All that bad debt they had with MCA, Diddy paid that. And then it was, you know, so did it work out at Bad Boy? But you got to understand, they had been in a 20-year bad contract with MCA. And Diddy made all that go
deal
away.
Was trash. That deal was trash. So for him to eat that debt, to his point, that's actually a good look for him to eat that up. And
Diddy has lost more. Diddy, if you really look at the paperwork, Diddy has lost more money on all these artists that everybody says, oh, he should have done better by. He's lost money on all these people.
I don't know if he lost money on I Love. He may have lost money on Edition, but him making it to that Billy like that.
He didn't lose money.
A lot of that is from this artist money.
Like
a lot of
the one thing we're not talking about.
Sean John.
One of the thing we're not talking about is how inflated these contracts are. Now, regardless of if Diddy is playing along with the rest of the record label companies out there with what he's doing, if an artist is paying for all their stuff, like we know that they were back in the day, and after they pay for all their stuff, they're still getting a 10 to 15% split. There's no reason for 75 to 85% of that to go towards other entities if the original money is still being pulled out of what you're making as part of your contract. Like, so my point will continually go back to, it is predatory behavior, period, from Diddy or from any executive at this point in time. Every major label is the same way, and Diddy is no exception to that. And it's weird for him to try. I don't know. I haven't really seen what he's. I don't know. It's hard for me to feel any type of sensitive.
So you got the unique,
emotional to any type of billionaire guy that's made money off of artists for so long.
I ain't gonna lie. I really like Diddy, man.
Yeah,
I would work for Diddy if Diddy had a position open. Shit, I'd go soak up some game. You know what I'm saying?
He definitely got the game.
Yeah, I mean, he knows.
Jay Moore said, "Yeah, but he ain't gonna pay you."
He probably won't.
Diddy's the type of person that'll give. Diddy's the type of person that'll give you a gift to see if he's already got the gift. Like he'll give you another one. Yeah, that's the type.
He might throw you a lob, you know, with some of that game. But be clear, brother. Ain't gonna leave with nothing in your hand. I just know that it'll be in your mind. It ain't gonna be in your hand, brother. It ain't gonna be in that account.
Exactly.
You might sign some crypto or something over. Who knows?
All right, man. I didn't know that topic was gonna go that long, but y'all made some valid points, man. Those are all good points. Shout out to the chat too. Y'all been reading more paragraphs in the chat. Like y'all been naming so many artists.
Expensive.
I think
these contracts aren't that expensive.
Yeah, we're not about to do Ryan Leslie. We ain't gonna talk about him. I'm gonna get out of character if we do
somebody
that.
owe you some money.
$15 million.
He might owe you
money.
It's
tough out here.
Right?
Man, it's tough out here. Yeah, I ain't gonna even get on that. Let's see. CAD made some good points. He said, I think Gibbs did as well. He got dropped by a major and built the brand on his own, which gave him more leverage and better terms when it was time to go back to the major. That's a fact. That's a good point.
Well, the thing about that is too, though, I was actually gonna touch on this, is the game is changed so drastically that nobody really needs that record deal like that no more. Now, no, I mean, you're getting hot on your own merit.
I mean, even though Jay Moore said that everything is kind of owned by 3 record labels, it is and it isn't. Like, you don't really need to touch them. Like, Like,
well, not in the days. Now we in digital distribution. It used to be you needed one of these companies to get your, records into the store. Nobody buys records from the store anymore. As long as you get your records on the internet,
I'm going through no cosign. I'm going through no cosign. Just have, no cosign load me up. They can get me into all the stores everybody else can. You know what I'm talking about?
And and more, and licensing and everything else. And it's all, like, the only reason why I'm so adamant about it is because I've seen the back end and I've seen the splits. I know what it costs. Like, there's time invested to get the stuff set up. But outside of that, you're really just paying for publicity at that point. Like what a label artist can give you. But anyways.
Goodwill Hunter said Diddy took his executive producer cut, label owner cut, and had to pay ghostwriters, ghost producers out of the artist budget. That's tough. That's tough right there. Well said, sir. Well said. CAD said, I'll let Puff slide for jerking people early, but sooner or later the contract should have evolved. And he continued to jerk people.
Yep. That's the bottom line.
Y'all drop.
I bet you Jay-Z
I'm dropping jewels in here,
verses.
man. We appreciate y'all, chat. That's the most paragraph
for the verses he wrote for him.
100%.
He got
100% up front.
Skills. Skills was his ghostwriter. It ain't public, but everybody knows Skills is his ghostwriter. I wonder how much he was getting paid for this shit.
Royce got a bag from him too. So trust me, if Skills
Rick
did what
Ross
he's supposed to do,
before Rick Ross was Rick Ross, he was writing for Diddy.
If Skills did what he's supposed to do, he ought to be wherever he at. He should be straight. If it was how it's supposed to be, he should be straight with all the writing he was doing. Ghost producers, D Dot, and all them cats too. Like, they should be straight somewhere. I will hope so. All right, man. Let's keep going. Appreciate the comments, man. The chat was lit. Love when the chat gets lit.
Let's do the partners really quick, since we're halfway.
We'd like to thank our partners for the New Old Heads podcast. No Bad Ideas Clothing Company, Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl, Sun King Brewery, and the hub for all things New Old Heads, bringingdowntheband.com. Remember, once you type Bringing Down the Band in the search bar on YouTube and the page populates, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And as always, we thank you for your support. Now back to the show.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Shout out to the sponsors. Partners as always. We appreciate them for continuing to do what they do and support us. Like we always say, continue to trying to grow the brand. We appreciate them. All right, man. Let's get into. I'm trying to make sure I cite my sources. This one is 𝐀𝐁𝐿 or CNN, whatever you want to call it. I think this one's CNN. Well, I don't know if you guys saw on any of your social media outlets and platforms, whatever you're on. SNL, I think it was SNL performance by Kid Cudi, who said he was honoring Kurt Cobain. Chris Farley by rocking a Virgil. What's Virgil's last name, Jay Moore?
Virgil Abloh.
Abloh, that's what it is. Yeah, I want to make sure I got it right. Dress. There was a picture side by side of Cobain, which I must have missed this because I wasn't paying attention. So this picture was, I don't remember seeing this that well. I could be asleep, and that's all right. This was all over my timeline with multiple takes. I actually text Terry. I didn't know if he saw it prior to me texting him. I don't know if Terry, had you seen it when I texted you, or was that the first time you had saw anything about it?
I saw it.
You saw it, okay. Oh, the timeline's on fire, man. I think what's crazy is performance really wasn't that dope to me outside of the other stuff. Like, the performance was cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't see too many people talking about the actual performance, but I just feel like this is how do you guys take it? Do you take it as a tribute? Do you take it as someone just being someone just being a creative? Or is this kind of one of those things where it's the epitome of what I see a lot in this era, where it gets people talking about the artist? And I'm saying, who knows what's genuine and what's not? You take people at face value for what they say, but you guys think, man, when you initially saw it, did you think it just was a dope tribute and people are overreacting, or what were your thoughts? Jay Diff, I'm coming to you first. What do you feel about
it? To each his own. If he was gonna wear a dress, he could have got a better dress than that. I'm cool off wearing a dress. I understand the narrative of the whole demasculation and the whole feminine male and all that type shit. Some things are just what it is. It's just that layer. And that's it. There's nothing deeper about it. I need people to understand that. First off, everything doesn't have to have ulterior motives or an agenda, so to speak. It's just a trash ass dress. And he decided to get on SNL. He could. I mean, he's friends with fashion designers and he has his own Adidas shoes. He could have wore a much better outfit or got a better dress than that little bullshit he was wearing. Just not co-signing. Me personally, I'm not wearing a goddamn dress. Nothing.
Or am I?
Halloween.
Ever in life.
Drag shit. That's just not in my bag. Certain individuals do that shit. I mean, I know people personally that have done it, and I don't think their agenda is to make men to start wearing dresses. I mean, it's the same shit when Young Thug, whatever the hell he was on when he was in his dresses, and it gets people talking about you at the end of the day.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was talking.
It's kind of along the same line of what Lil Nas X did the past 3 weeks. Nas X talk is very quiet right now. I haven't checked. I mean, Jay Moore is the numbers guru as far as how music is doing. How is his single doing?
It's not number one anymore because Silk Sonic, which is Leave the Door Open, which is an actual hit. I haven't seen the full Billboard chart, but I'm pretty sure that it has fallen out of the top 20 because once again, the controversy was bigger than the actual song. So, just like I said, with the Drake, it doesn't always have to be controversy because Drake had the 1, 2, 3, and 2 weeks later, all those songs are out of the top 100 except for one, and that song is at number 70. So those weren't actual hits, but we might want to do an actual subject and a whole thing about that later on about what's an actual hit. But yeah, back to Kid Cudi and his wearing a dress.
Yeah, that shit just,
I like that.
It is what it is as far as him doing that shit. I mean, he got people talking. He dropped an album in when was that? December? When his album came out?
I'd have to Google.
I've forgotten all about Kid Cudi till he put on his dress. I mean, I guess it would work.
Came out like December, right? I want to say November, December.
I don't listen to Cudi. I don't know. He doesn't make like hip hop music to me. He's like this weird punk mixture of styles, emo, rap.
Yeah, Man on the Moon 3, like 2020.
Huh?
Man on the Moon 3, 2020.
Yeah, I've just never been a fan of him. Like outside of like his a couple of his early songs, so I don't check him. So I have no idea where he's at. And for the record, Montero's number 2 right now.
What's your number 2? Okay, all right. Well, maybe it is a hit.
Missed the wave on Kid Cudi. I'll be honest. I heard some joints, but I missed the wave. Like when it really was a wave, I completely missed it. So that's my personal opinion.
What Kid Cudi stands for
sure.
As being a kid that wasn't necessarily the how should I put this?
Just wasn't
follow
the typical
all the rules, so to speak. Wasn't the typical kid. Dealt with emotions and things like that. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people that can relate to that type shit.
Huge fan base. I don't get it. Get it twisted.
I understand that. But Kid Cudi, his artistry kind of took some turns, some dives. Kids See Ghosts was a good project to me.
It was the best project that came out of that era.
It was cool on Kids See Ghosts.
But I mean, it's just if he's truly a fan of Kurt Cobain, cool, because this ain't the first time he wore a Kurt Cobain outfit. I think he did his first appearance on SNL. So I mean, if it's really a nod to him, cool. But if it's just to try to get people talking about you, which is, I mean, that's an industry standard nowadays. Then
he doesn't seem like that type of artist, though. He's never seemed like that type of artist, though. He's never seemed like somebody.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I don't. I've never seen him as that. Like, even this, like I saw him wearing a dress, and my first thought was like, who cares? And my second thought was, I saw somebody mad because he was wearing a dress on SNL and he wasn't like doing a dedication to DMX or something. I'm like, shut the fuck up. Like,
what? You saw that?
Extra.
Yeah. It was just stupid. You know, it was just one of the.
Your Kid Cudi and DMX are not from the same cloth. He probably wasn't even a fan of DMX like that.
It was like some extra woke take about, you know, like, well, you know, support your own community. And I was okay.
Nah.
But apparently the Kurt Cobain thing was planned ahead of time and everything. So the dress was the same.
Is that pretty much how you took it, Long?
Yeah. Which part? I just see it as a tribute. I mean, you know, the dress didn't look crazy, but if you do remember Kurt Cobain's original dress, it wasn't anything crazy either. It would look like somebody's mom's or grandma's summer dress or something, you know, like, and that's kind of what Kid Cudi's look like. Dress. Yeah, you know, so
spaghetti straps.
I don't think it's like that much to like really analyze. I think he just wanted to pay some homage and do something that was kind of cool for, you know, him. And,
well, no, I do see him paying homage, but at the same time, you know,
let the man wear a dress.
Being an actual fan of Nirvana, because I'm from that era, you know, he could have wore, you know, the Freddy Krueger type sweater from the Smells Like Teen Spirit, or had the Anarchy joint. He could have wore, you know, had the.
But Kurt Cobain wore that dress on SNL. That's the thing, right? So
yeah, that too. But you know, like, you know, you could have paid homage to Nirvana and Kurt Cobain in so many different ways, but you wanted to wear a dress. You decide you made a real you decide you want to do this because, you know, your music isn't really moving people in the way that it used to, and you knew that this would get you a news cycle. Because
waiting on somebody to say this.
Because just think about it, every woke dude, every person who's you know, all about gender fluidity, or, you know, the LGBT for or against that agenda, you're now on their radar. And you know, and it worked because now we talking about it. And you got to understand, I understand it's from publicity standpoint, but I was like, you could have honored Kurt Cobain in so many other ways, but you knew that if you wore this dress as a black man in America in 2021, you knew it would bring the ire of so many different people. So in a way, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, fam, like, this is the problem I have with so many of part of this generation. And like I say, we're the new old heads, and I'm the oldest of the old heads. You just got a lot of people out here doing shit to do shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't really know if maybe he's really into Kurt Cobain like that. Like, I remember when these records hit. Like, I'm older than Cudi, I think. But, you know, I just think that, you know, this is another cry for attention and cry for help. And I'm not surprised because he's from Kanye West, you know, he's cut from that cloth and he's from that camp. So I'm not surprised that he would do something. I don't agree with that. I'm not impressed. And honestly, when I watched the performance, I was more upset that he was all out of tune and that the music wasn't that good.
Somebody ain't paid a bill now.
That's what I get. I get to talking that real shit. They cut the lights out on me.
They trying to censor Jay Moore. Lone, jump in there, man. I was watching your reaction, brother. Talk to me, man. That's what we're here for.
I've already said it. I mean, his rebuttal was kind of a rebuttal to what I was saying in extent. No, I mean, I just don't, like, music aside, maybe it's just because I just don't see it. Like, it just seemed like he was paying homage to Kurt Cobain doing an SNL performance. What his music sounds like, it does. I don't care. Like, it just seemed like he was doing.
We play devil's advocate alone. You don't see any piece of clout chasing in this at all. I don't see it as 100%.
I don't see it as any type of clout chasing that I need to pay attention to. That is like legitimately clout chasing. Like, I just don't see it. Like, you know, and I see it so often. It's so obvious, and this just isn't obvious to me. So maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know, but I just don't see it. And maybe it's because I was a huge fan of Nirvana too, and I was a huge fan of Nirvana. So. I was there when this stuff happened. So, you know, it was cool. And you know, I don't know. I don't know. You know, to me, it's not. To me, it's not just like a pop culture reference, and he just wanted to do it. To me, like it seemed like he had some sort of, you know, connection with that. But you know, who knows?
Anyway, I got you. Jump in there, Jay Diff.
I think he dropped the ball on something that could have been made that performance more memorable about him versus trying to pay homage to somebody else in a goddamn dress.
Just say it. You just don't like men in dresses, right?
I mean, I don't like men.
Tell me how you feel. I know you just said that. You literally said that 5 minutes ago. I'm just saying, but I mean, I think.
I mean,
but I feel like that's. But I feel like that's a lot of the argument, though, too. Like, who cares if he was in a dress? Like those are two different arguments. Like, if he's chasing it for clout and he could have done it different, or the fact that he's wearing a dress, aren't those two separate arguments?
I mean, your angle about
you could say that.
You could say that, but your angle about
maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just
angle about. I mean, you kind of splitting it up too, because you like on one hand we're talking about the item and the homage, but on the other side you also mentioned really don't. It's not big enough for you to pay attention to, right?
Right.
Those are two different things too. Like, I mean, it's you can you can chop the whole thing up. Like there's not anything definitive to it to me because there's so much gray area. Like you can break this thing down however you want. At the end of the day, only he knows if it's genuine or not. Your point about the you know, what I respect about what you said, Lone, is you're openly saying, yo, I rock with Nirvana and I followed it. I remember this. So putting that on the table lets me know that what you're saying in terms of your opinion is legit. Like you relate to the possibility of him actually being genuine. I can respect that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess just I'll say this and I'll stop talking, but Cudi's always come across as like a real person to me. And so I give him the benefit of the doubt, and then unless I see otherwise, I just don't feel otherwise. And that's just what it comes down to for me.
I want to look in the chat real quick. I can dig that. See, TR says roll out.
What about Prince?
Says gimmick.
What about Prince?
What about Prince? Did I miss something?
No,
I see. That was Prince though from the beginning. Everybody know that Prince was androgynous or whatever back then. That's just who he was.
Right.
This is something different for Kid Cudi. Yeah. I mean, I don't have anything against him wearing a dress. I'm just saying, personally, I wouldn't do it. I don't think he's subscribing to some agenda or some bigger plan or bigger scheme of things. But to Jay Moore's point, him wearing a dress as a black man definitely was going to raise some eyebrows and have some people talking about it on the other end of things. So,
I mean, he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, the chat. See, David said, man, this discussion is so tired. It's funny that we get frustrated at expressing feminism in hip hop. How many times do we see women MCs having to become more masculine in hip hop? Okay.
I'm cool. I'm cool on the emasculate female rapper though.
The what?
Honestly.
Again, Terry, I was breaking up. I'm sorry.
Emasculated female rapper. I'm cool on. I don't want a female rapper trying to be extra
manly.
Yeah, I'm cool on that.
Because honestly, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. You know, when a woman tries to be too hard, no, you've got to be damn near on some ass shaking shit, or like even women won't pay attention to you. But this is David going somewhere else with it. But yeah, you know what it is.
David is the MVP. Yeah. David is the MVP because this is the line I've used for years, and I'm so glad you put this in here. Basically, Common said it best. If I like it, I like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. Like that's if I like it. If I don't like it, that don't mean that I'm hating.
That's Major Seven's cop out. Every time he wants to hate, he can always say, "Well, you know, Common said it, so you know."
I love it. I love it. If I don't like it, I don't like it. That don't mean that I'm hating. That's a great line.
And Common can be wrong, you know. That's the line.
Don't do that. Don't do that. You're not about to bait me into this. Don't do that.
Common's got my he's got my favorite hip hop album, but he can still be wrong.
I was there when you bought it. Don't start this, man. Even says Cudi is most likely doing this for homage. Okay. I mean, hey, I can't tell a man what he's doing. You know, I at the end of the day, if it's genuine to him, cool. You know, but definitely saw a lot. The DMX tie-in is trash, though. Well, I don't know where you saw that at, but
That's stupid.
Yeah, Cudi and DMX aren't from the same cloth. I don't expect him to honor DMX.
Yeah, like whoever did that was reaching like a mug to get some attention. All right, Lone. We've had two very long segments. I
think we can.
How you want to play it? I know we live.
Let's not do the. Let's not do the one that we added.
Yeah, we could say that for next week.
Yeah, that can be any time, to be honest. But we can touch up on DMX passing. Did you guys see that he what was it with DMX? It was 1,000% more streams or something.
Oh yeah. We've seen.
I'm
this.
Never surprised by that.
Yeah, we've seen this happen time and time again, man. And it's just crazy. Like you see, there's so many.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it though.
Yeah, but there's so many. Reaction video. Lone put me onto this about the abundance of reaction videos. Like I've talked to him about this in private, but abundance of reactions to everything that you can find just by going to YouTube. And I'm seeing so many people that are pointing the finger at the people that were around him and fingers like we talked about with Flex with the artists, and then pointing fingers at this and pointing fingers at that. And I'm not seeing anybody talk about children that he's leaving, his ex-wife, his fiance.
17,
I'm not sure if parents are still.
17.
Is that real, man?
I heard
17 real.
I heard 15, but
okay.
Maybe some are unsure.
Jay-Z copped the Masters last week, and now that's fake. So I don't know what to believe, but I just don't see anybody talking about that. Like everything is about what people didn't do or what you should have done or fans should have done or whatever should have done. I don't see anybody talking about like looking at Swiss Beats like fam genuinely hurt the video that I saw, and that's his guy. Like you know what I mean, like stuff like that, man. Like I don't see that being highlighted. It's just more about pointing fingers, man. I hate to see
both
like
I
that.
See both. I do see both. It's just that there's a lot of everything. I mean, we even talked about it even today. Like I was on the side of feeling like Diddy should have done more for his artist, right? But at the same time, there's still a line. We talked about this last week. Like you can't really do anything more for like you can't live somebody's life for them. You know what I mean? You can help them and assist them in specific ways, but it's a shame that DMX passed, and all the news that has come out and all the stories that have come out have been great to see, and a lot of videos on him, being such a great person that he was and selfless and stuff. It's just stuff I didn't know about DMX because, to be honest, I just didn't follow his career pretty much after his first two albums. Like I just wasn't a fan of his music after that. So it's cool to see those stories come out, but
yeah. And to share some dope videos too, man. There's a lot of people that you can tell that really rocked with them, shared a lot of good videos and good moments. You know what I'm saying? So I like seeing things like that is what I'm saying. Like I tend to go towards more of the positive stuff, and then also just from a condolences standpoint. But like Lone said, it's just so many ways to, all these tough, man. I hate that he passed away.
Yeah, all these people who are using DMX's death to all of a sudden, want to have these, bullshit conversations about toxic masculinity. I was like, fam, you like just say that you don't understand how somebody could get more love and depth than you could ever get in life. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it is. There's a lot of jealousy and a lot of hate coming from people who just don't get how, like I've seen videos of everything from DMX at an Albanian wedding to giving homeless people money to, talking to somebody,
planting
this woman
in his garden.
Yeah. This woman talked about how she had a conversation with DMX and it, and she decided to repair her conversation or her relationship with her father, who had been an addict for his whole life. So, I don't want to get too deep into it because, like, as far as when I see the level of bullshit and hate that people are it's not even hate. It's just that they want to draw attention to themselves based off of somebody else's passing. And I always hate that. But I'll just say this, like, and it's been said in other places, I'm just thankful that somebody like DMX didn't wait to try to become a perfect person before he let God use him, because I feel like he was anointed and he was somebody who was out here really trying to make a difference in people's lives, despite the fact that he was an incredibly flawed person. And so, just respect the DMX and prayers to his family. That's all. That's all that needs to be said from all you people trying to ride his wave right now.
Well said, my friend. Jay Diff, you got anything before we ride out?
Jay Moore's point, that definitely happens. But as far as DMX is concerned, I'm just happy that I actually seen an interview where he said that if he were to die today, in that time he was speaking, he would say, I had a good life. So, I mean, he knows what he did. He knows his faults. He knows his pains. He knows his struggles. He knows that he had a good life at the end of the day. And he definitely used himself as a vessel to help heal other people. And so, I mean, he's going to be missed. It's definitely a shot to the hip hop community. And rest in peace to DMX, Earl Simmons.
Sir, I think that's a good place to end it. Chat, we really appreciate y'all rocking with us through the technical difficulties earlier. Shout out to all the homies in the chat. If I didn't call your name, I'm sorry, but you know that we see you in there. AD, Sean Rocker, that's y'all, D-Fog, David, Goodwill. We appreciate all of y'all in there rocking with us tonight. Remember to go to the new YouTube page and subscribe. That is where we moved all the content. Also, stop by Patreon, check a look at those options, well as we continue to do what we do to bring that content to you. For everybody that's been rocking with us, we appreciate it, and we will see y'all next week.